No. That's crazy.
Cool.
I want
Do you want to just like, give a quick introduction to yourself?
Sure. Hey guys. How's it going? Wow, that's quick. My name is Yoni Binstock. Full time, I work at change.org. But one of my hobbies is 3D printing. It's something I'm really passionate about. Been blogging and writing, and I've done a little bit of talking on the subject for the past few years. And I hope in the next 5 minutes I can give you some of that information. And afterwards, if you have more questions, please talk to me. What is 3D printing? Raise your hand if you've heard of it or you've even seen a 3D printer. Has anyone seen a 3D printer? Okay, wow. Okay, so that's most of you, and that's great. So you guys know how it works. 3D model gets input to the 3D printer, and millimeter by millimeter, or usually even smaller, 3D physical model is printed. This is different from regular manufacturing, where it's subtracted, where things are taken away to show the final product. So what are we printing? China is printing houses, thousands of them at the same time. And they're being done in hours and days rather than weeks or months. It's really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to see how the real estate, the construction industry, takes large-scale 3D printing and uses it.
So this is in mass production already?
Yeah, I said thousands of houses are being used. So
it
yeah,
looked like a model.
yeah, it does. But yeah, Google China 3D printing. Museums, they want insurance on their sculptures. And so they're scanning it and storing it, so just in case it gets stolen or something terrible would happen to it, they can reprint it, an exact replica. And now a lot of them are putting it open source, so you can print your own, David.
That's good.
3D printing organs. So this is really interesting and really new. Imagine that we never have to wait for a new organ, your new kidney, your heart, your liver, and a 3D printed organ just for you, using your own cells, can be done right on the spot when you need it. Prosthetics. Unfortunately, we have a lot of veterans who are coming back from the wars with missing limbs. But with 3D printing, what we can do, and this is in full commercial use right now, we can print prosthetic limbs that are beautiful, that are aesthetically pleasing, it takes away the stigma, and that are perfect for their body, their muscle mass. 3D printing guns, I'm sure a lot of you guys have read about this. Really interesting implications on what 3D printing and security have to do with one another. Imagine 3D printing knives, bombs, and other weapons. Art. This is probably not known, it was a surprise to me, but the most widely sold object on 3D printing is artwork, not functional tools. And I know quite a few artists who really can only use 3D printing to fully imagine their dreams that regular manufacturing just could not produce. So what does this mean? Complexity is free. You can make the most complex object and it does not cost any more than a simple box. Imagine that the consumer and the producer were the same person, and all you would need is the ability to click print in order to have any object that could fit in a 3D printer on your desktop in your garage. I love this because it's environmentally better. Unlike the subtractive method where things are taken away from a model, you only put in what you need. So it is almost a closed loop cycle. How is this going to affect the billion-dollar shipping industry, where most of our products that we buy come from China or Africa? When you can print almost anything at home. And obviously this is not happening today, but this can happen in 5, 10, especially 15, 20 years. Remember Napster and what happened to the music industry? I think that's nothing compared to what's going to be happening in the next 5 years when producers of goods that rely a lot on their IP realize that they're going to be scanned, uploaded, downloaded, shared, and printed across the world. A lot of new business models are going to be coming out, as we saw, new business models that came out of the Napster era IP war. The Gutenberg press was a transformational tool it led to mass education, democracy, the English Enlightenment. And just because it was able to reprint information. The 3D printer is amazing because it does so much more. It prints physical manifestations of objects. So anywhere, anyone, anywhere can be able to print anything. And I feel that it's going to be one of the most important inventions of the 21st century. I only have 5 minutes, and is there any questions? I got 30 seconds.
You can use the whole 5 minutes, and then we have a few minutes afterwards for questions.
Perfect. Then, in 20 seconds. The last thing I would say is 3D printing right now, we can print in ceramics, in plastics, in different colors, in aluminum, in edibles now are being able to be 3D printed. But imagine 10 years when we can print cell phones or very complex objects. It's really going to be a transformational idea. That's yours.
In terms of this top two, I mean, they really overcharge for the material because it's 3D printing and plastic. Are we getting close to a point where we can recycle everyday plastic and use that? I mean, where are we at that?
There's awesome companies and ideas that are just starting up in the past 5 years that are taking plastics that were either just like plastic in the ocean or plastic that were already printed and being able to melt it down and putting it right back into make it into the filaments. So that's really exciting.
It's so expensive. It's like printer ink.
Yes, exactly. Printer ink is the expensive part. Exactly. Yeah.
Are you aware of projects where people are connecting together matter in more complex ways than just globbing it together, rather than just making like a mass of stuff, like actually having it be kind of interactive somehow, like maybe
smart matter?
For the matter compiler concept a little bit more?
No, I don't think we're at the Star Trek era yet. With the like replicators. I can't think of any smart material, but right now it's still just fusing on top of each other, different layers. Okay, you had a question?
Yeah. So it seems really bold to say that we can 3D print a cell phone in 5 to 10 years because you need this like multi-billion-dollar facility to make the processor for the cell phone. And so I'm wondering, like, what pieces are going to be 3D printable first, and how do we get to the point that we can 3D print these essential like nano machines?
Yeah, so that's the exact word they use is like nano. So when we start doing nanomaterials and be able to print complex metals, I think that's what's going to cause it. So it's nanomaterials, nanotechnology. When we're able to print that, imagine putting like nanobots into your printer. And those being able to configure to any material or mass. So maybe 15 years is a little ambitious, maybe a little bit, but I project the future a little ambitiously.
The big unresolved problem is materials with vastly different melting points. So you cannot print metal and plastic together because the laser sintering temperature for the metal is so high that it will melt the plastic that's next to it.
Just to remind you, I guess towards the Autodesk, the amazing machine shop they have there, and they had some cool ones that were kind of rubbery on the bottom and then like almost marble on the top that are kind of instituted textures being woven together. It was really cool.
Yeah.
This could be a dance floor or something. It was really cool. I haven't seen that different type of stuff being interwoven. So
it's only the past year that we've been able to do multi-material.
It looks amazing.
Yes.
What's something that you've seen that really got you upset about the profession?
What got me upset about 3D
Just
printing?
something that you've seen that really like pissed you off.
That's an awesome question for every speaker.
I think there was an overreaction. I would not say overreaction. The wrong reaction to 3D printing guns. I think it is going to be a huge security issue. I think there's no doubt about it. But especially it has to do with like UK specifically, because there was someone in the UK that was able to print the gun, but they have such strong gun laws. So, and the response to it was a lot of local state legislators trying to ban like almost 3D printing, and they have really no idea like what they're doing with this type of technology. It'd be almost just like the internet. If there was regulation in the early internet in the early 90s, like what would have happened to the internet? So I'd be fearful of over-regulation in 3D printing in this stage.
We need to ban those 3D scanners.
No, 3D scanners and 3D printers are very close together. Yeah.
I was wondering what the ideal use cases are currently today, because I see a lot of people who are like, "Oh man, you can print a door hanger,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Well, this sounds cool for the future, but right now it seems completely useless and totally irrelevant to me." And how can we actually further like these nano printing machines rather than be like, "Isn't this cool? Wouldn't that be nice later?"
Yeah.
But right now, you still can do it.
So I think what's going to cause mass adoption is when we start seeing it everywhere. So Staples, I think, I forgot what country.
Wait, but what will you see everywhere? You'll see these 3D printing things that can print like plastic things that break
Yeah.
easily.
When we can print multi-materials, like we were saying before, with plastics and metallics can combine without being hairy.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, you can print around or on top of something that's already formed in metal. And yes, so you can do that. But like, I still haven't seen anything that's actually useful.
Well, the RefRaft machine, which it costs just a few $1,000s, they did a case study where this guy printed objects that he needed every day, and he was able to save money. He looked at what it would have cost, like shipping to Amazon or getting from Amazon, and he was able to save money over a year printing things just every day.
So the majority of spare parts for the space station, for example, are 3D printed because they don't say, okay, how many of those do you want? And the answer is, well, how many space stations have we got? Plus a few spares. So anything that's made in small volumes, a lot of the military stuff, fighter jets and so on, 3D printing is already being extensively used there. It's extensively used for prototyping. And then it's used, and going to be used, I think, in Lowe's for replacement of spare parts for all those thousands of old devices. So rather where you can't even get the parts anymore.
And you won't need inventory. They'll just print on the spot.
All right, one more question.
Well, maybe we're done.
Cool.
Great, thank you guys.
Okay.
And then,
While
this,
the next speaker is Vanessa, who's the next speaker right
Luigi,
now? Yeah, he's not here tonight. So-
Mark came on and he just got
Just
here.
right here.
Give me a minute.
Okay, let's go. Let's have let's see, Catherine, Ray,
No, she's also not here yet.
okay, Marco.
Marco is here.
He's here. You saw him.
So I can say a few words with him. Oh, you don't have slides?
No.